25 inches of rain fell on Houston in 12 hours in June of 2001, and the storm that did it was never even a hurricane. Tropical Storm Allison stalled over the Texas coast, looped back for a second pass, and became one of the worst flood disasters in American history. It killed 41 people and drowned the largest medical complex in the world. In the next few minutes, I'll explain why a storm this week did this much damage, and why it is going to happen again. In June of 2001, a storm came ashore on the Texas coast that was not a hurricane. It had no eye, no category number, no violent winds to brace against. For part of its life, it was not even a tropical storm. It was a tropical depression, the weakest classification a tropical system can carry. Forecasters did not order the kind of massed evacuation a major hurricane demands. Most of the country has forgotten it ever existed. Its name was Allison, and it went on to kill 41 people, drown the largest medical complex in the world, and become, at the time, the most destructive tropical storm in the recorded history of the United States. I want to walk you through what that storm did because it carries a truth that almost no one understands about how floods actually kill. We are trained to fear the strongest storms, the Category 4, the Category 5, the monster spinning on the satellite image. But the deadliest floods this country sees do not come from the strongest storms. They come from the weakest, slowest ones. They come from the storms nobody's afraid of, falling on coastlines that have been built, paved, and lowered into the perfect shape for drowning. Allison is the clearest proof we have. And the reason it matters now, 24 years later, is that the conditions that made it lethal have not been corrected. They have been multiplied. So let me show you how a storm that was never a hurricane became one of the worst flood disasters in American history. Allison formed in the Gulf of Mexico in early June of 2001 and came ashore on the upper Texas coast as a weak tropical storm. The danger was never its strength. The danger was that it stopped moving. A healthy tropical system comes ashore, gets caught by the winds in the upper atmosphere, and is dragged inland, weakening as it goes and spreading its rain over a long track. Allison did the opposite. It stalled over southeast Texas and sat there. There is a reason early summer storms are prone to this, and it is worth understanding. In the colder months, the jet stream, the fast river of air high overhead that pushes weather systems along, is strong and sits low across the country. By June, that jet stream retreats north and weakens, and the steering currents go slack. A front or a tropical system that would be shoved offshore in a single day during winter can simply run out of push in June and stall, especially when it reaches the warm, humid air parked over the Gulf Coast. The same warmth that loads the atmosphere with moisture is also what robs these storms of the energy that would carry them away. Summer on this coast is the season of the storm that will not leave. Then it did something worse. After its first round of rain, the storm drifted back south toward the warm water of the Gulf, reorganized, and made a second pass over the same saturated ground. That loop is what turned a forgettable storm into a catastrophe. The first round of rain was survivable, and people treated it as an ordinary wet spell. The break in the middle lowered everyone's guard. And then the heaviest rain of the entire event fell on the night of June 8th into the 9th in the dark, on ground that was already full. The totals were staggering for a storm that never earned a hurricane's name. Parts of northeast Harris County received up to 40 inches of rain. In one 12-hour window, about 25 inches fell. To put that in plain terms, some neighborhoods took on more than 3 feet of water from the sky in a matter of hours, from a system the wind speed scale would have dismissed. The storm did not need to be powerful. It only needed to refuse to leave, and that is exactly what it did. When that water came, Houston had nowhere to put it. More than 73,000 homes were damaged across Harris County. Tens of thousands of vehicles were destroyed. Freeways turned into rivers deep enough to swallow a truck. Roughly 30,000 people were forced from their homes and into shelters. This was not a remote stretch of coast. This was the 4th largest city in the country, going under in the dark. The moment that has always stayed with me is what happened at the Texas Medical Center. The Texas Medical Center in Houston is the largest medical complex in the world, a small city of hospitals and research towers. When Allison's water poured in, it did not stay in the streets. It flooded down into the basements and the underground tunnels that connect the buildings, and it knocked out the power. Hospitals full of the most fragile patients in the city had to be evacuated in the dark. Patients carried down stairwells by flashlight. In the sublevel laboratories, the water rose over decades of irreplaceable medical research and over thousands of laboratory animals living inside ongoing experiments. Years of work that existed nowhere else on Earth was erased in a single night. The damage to that one complex alone exceeded $2 billion. Understand what that means. A tropical storm, system forecasters had nearly shrugged at, drowned the most advanced medical complex on the planet. That is the kind of damage we are conditioned to expect only from a major hurricane.